Okay, so there's the first change in the notes. The next change in the notes comes on the second page. I'm kind of changing this whole problem altogether. All right, find the area of the triangle ABC if, and then I want you to just put this information in. A is 4.7, side C is 12.4, angle B is 47 degrees, 20 seconds. So if you just downloaded these notes, you probably have them. If you didn't if you're using the notes from before, then they need to be changed. B is 47 degrees, 20 seconds, or 20 minutes. Okay? Are we okay with that? 47 degrees, 20 minutes. In other words, it's not exactly 47 degrees, it's just a little bit past. If you think about like a clock, yeah, because you're, right? All right, and I think then on this next page, formulas for these angles, I forgot to divide because the area of a triangle is always base times height divided by 2, correct? So I forgot to divide this by 2, and in this one I forgot my n. Are we good? All right, y'all with me? Danielle, you want to scoot up behind, I was going to say Emma. Sit there. All right. Jade, you need your computer hooked up? Okay. Can you see okay from there? Okay. All right. Law of sines. This is a really important law. You're going to need to memorize it. Okay? It's really, really important. What's nice about the law of sines is now we're going to work with triangles that are no longer right triangles. And we're going to be able to use trig functions. And the law of sines allows us to find all the missing angles or side lengths. Okay? I guess let's start up with the warm-up. Why don't you go ahead and do these 4 warm-up problems, and see how you did. You said the homework last night was pretty straightforward, so that's good. Let's see how we do on this. Yes? Oh, yeah, Cox. Yeah, should be cosine of x. Thanks. Cosine of x. What is wrong with this thing? It's blinking all over the place. There we go. So these have to be exact. Using a calculator is not going to help you. You've got to do this without the calculator. Yeah. The tangent of what angle is square root of 3 over 3? Okay. So using your calculators, you're going to have a section on the test where you can't use your calculator, and this is going to be it. So if you're relying on it to do these problems, you don't know your special triangles yet, or your special 30, 60, 90s. Okay, so what angle are we dealing with? If a tangent of that angle is square root of 3 over 3? 30. So we know that our reference angle is 30 degrees. Where is the tangent positive? Which quadrants? So if it's in the first quadrant, we're going to keep it 30 degrees. And if it's in the third quadrant, we're going to make it 210 degrees. Are we good? Did we get that right? Anybody got a question? All right, where is the cosine? What's the cosine of what angle is 1/2? Okay, so our reference angle is 60 degrees. Where is the cosine negative? Second and third. So if it's in the second quadrant, what's our angle measure? It's going to be 180 minus 60, so 120. And if it's in the third quadrant, it's going to be 180 plus 60, which is 240 degrees. All students take calculus. Those gives you the quadrants where those are positive. So if I want cosine to be negative, I'm going to want it here and here. Because only the sine and the tangent are positive, everything else is negative. Okay? All right, evaluating. Cosine of the arc cosine of 2/5, what is it? Just 2/5, because the cosine and the arc cosine are inverses of each other, right? Right? The cosine of this inverse sine of 5/6, well, that means 5/6 is opposite over hypotenuse, gives you this to be the square root of what? I think 11, correct? Are you with me? And so I want the cosine of that angle, so it's going to be square root of 11 over 6. This is what yesterday's lesson was about. Do we do okay on this? Or do you have a question on it? Marielle? Yeah. We had a canceling out one and we had one. The second one was like that. Okay. All right, law of sines. So, law of sines are used when the triangle is not a right triangle. Two angles and a side are given. And if you remember from geometry, these were your theorems or postulates that proved the triangles were congruent. You had angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. Two angles and a side are given. So those are what we're working with when we're given two angles and a side. What's really nice is what they found out was that if you took the sine of angle A and divided it by the length of side A, it was going to be the same as the sine of angle B divided by side B, and the sine of angle C divided by side C. So this is your formula that you want to memorize. The proportion of the angle, the sine of the angle over the corresponding side is going to be congruent no matter which angle you're choosing. Now today we're going to use just the basic case, and tomorrow there's going to be the ambiguous case. So there's going to be some times when you have more than one answer. So for today there's just going to be one answer where this works. All right, so remember, this is for a triangle that's not a right triangle. So, given a triangle ABC with angle A 33 degrees, B 105 degrees, and side B 37.9, find all your missing pieces of information. So, I need to see that you're drawing out these triangles. Don't make them right. Don't make them right, because it's not guaranteed to be a right triangle, so you can't assume that it is. And then let's place all the information onto the triangle, and then we're going to set up our proportions. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to make this A, B, and C. And we're going to say that this is 33 degrees, this is 105 degrees, and this here is 37.9 because side B is across from angle B. So if you're laying it out in the wrong manner, well then guess what? You're going to get wrong answers. Mm-hmm. The letter, upper Uppercase represents angle, lowercase represents side. Okay. I can find one other piece of information without doing any difficult work. What can I still find? Angle C, we know angle C is going to equal 180 minus 105 minus 33, which I'm thinking is 42 degrees. So now we're going to set up our proportions. We're going to say that the sine of A over side A equals the sine of B over side B, which equals the sine of C over side C. And we're going to just plug it in. We're going to say that the sine of 33 over A, I don't have that length, equals the sine of 105 over 37.9, which is equal to the sine of 42 over side C. You really want to use the corresponding letters A, B, and C. Don't do X and Y in this case, so that we remember what we're finding. All right, our scale factor is this, because both the numerator and the denominator are given. So that's what's going to be our commonality between setting up our proportions. Our first proportion would say sine of 33 over A equals sine of 105 over 37.9. Our second proportion is going to say, well, the sine of 105 over 37.9 is equal to the sine of 42 over side C. And then through cross multiplication, we'll solve. Does that make sense? Are we good? All right. So, don't work this out with your calculator. Don't do it in multi-steps. You can do this all in one step. This is going to say 37.9 sine of 33 equals A times the sine of 105. So A is equal to 37.9 sine of 33 over the sine of 105. All right, plug that into your calculator now. You eliminate any rounding errors or differences that you'll get if you just do it as one big step. When you hit your division sign on your calculator, make sure you include this in parentheses. And so I get about 21.37. Would you agree? I'm assuming I did my math right. Is it a degree? No, it's a side length, right? So don't put a degree symbol on this answer. Keep track and keep thinking about what it is you are really trying to solve for. All right, solve for side C. Do all the steps and then plug it into your calculator. And so I got about 26.255. Agreeable? Okay. Pretty easy? Okay. All right, you try the next one all on your own. Set up your triangles. Put all the pieces of information onto your triangle. Solve for all the missing parts. Ask me again. Well, I'm going LMN in this case.
If you want that house the side length, since all houses have length, shouldn't it be in the middle so that your proportion house no.
Doesn't have to be. You're going to set up all three of those proportions equal to each other, Emma. Right? So it really doesn't matter where it falls. You'll just use that one as your commonality and set it equal to one of the fractions that has a missing value.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll use that one again and set it equal to the second fraction. Yes. Yeah, you use the information as it's given to you. So making sure that all the information's right. This is what it should kind of look like. Across from the 29 degree is the side length of 22. This is side M. This is side N. What trig theorem, or sorry, geometry theorem is this? Do you remember? Looking at the angles and the sides that are given, this is the which theorem or postulate? This is angle, angle, side. You kind of want to start recognizing this for this section. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're just calling the vertices different things. Could be PQR. How do we do? Get the same answers that I got? Anybody got a question? I got N was 39 degrees, side M 42.074, and side N 28.558. Are we okay on this? Yeah, I know I'm not really very consistent, Marielle, because I've always just done it to 2, but they really do want it to 3. Okay, questions? Mm-hmm. Cross multiply.
Well, like, and then I have an N again.
Well, you can't use these two because there's 2 unknowns. Here is where you find M.
Okay.
So, M sine of 29 is going to equal 22 sine of 112. Which means M is equal to, yeah, so.
And then you find the M and then you plug it in there.
Well, but see, I wouldn't plug it in. I'd go back and I'd use this with that. This is your commonality. This is the one that has all the given information. So you set it equal to that one, and you set it equal to that. Right. That's what we did on the last one. Okay. All right, here we go. Area of a triangle. If it's not a right triangle. Okay. Area of a triangle is, no matter what kind of a triangle, is what? 1/2 base times height. That's our general formula. Now, the book is going to give you, and this is, which postulate or theorem are they giving you when they give you all those pieces of information? This is side, angle, side. So, the book is going to give you on the next section or on the next page, I'll give you the formulas. I think it's more of an effort to memorize these formulas versus really understanding what we're doing. If you want to go through and memorize, given the side, angle, side, triangle, what those formulas are, you do it. But I really think it's easier to really understand the process that we're doing, okay? No matter what kind of triangle we have to have a height, we have to have a base. And if we're going to have a height, the height has to form a right angle with the corresponding base. Would you agree? So the height is going to come down. I mean, I can do the height this way, correct? I mean, this has to go to a base from a vertex, right? I can have it going this way. Would you agree? Or I could have you going this way. So there are 3 heights and 3 bases, depending on how we orient the base and the height. No matter which way or which bases and heights we use, we're going to get the same answer. Do you understand that? It really doesn't matter. What you want to do, though, is you want to pick a height that is going to create a small triangle that includes the angle that's given to you. So I could use from A to this side, to 6.8, because it's going to include 57 degrees, right? I do not want to do the height as it comes from vertex C, because it's cutting 57 degrees in some way, not necessarily in half, and you can't assume that it's in half. So I don't want to use the green one. Or I could use the red one, because again, it's including the 57 degrees, correct? And so just for ease, I'm going to use the red one. So a right triangle that's formed allows us to figure out the height. And if the red length is my height, what's my base going to be for the way I drew this? 9.3, okay? So given a right triangle with 57 degrees and a side of 6.8, I don't know what this part of the small triangle is going to be. I just know the whole length is 9.3. How do I go about finding my height, which I'm going to call h? Uh-huh. Oh, is that not what you have?
Well, no, but I was wondering, because you were marking out those answers.
I happen to do almost the exact same problem.
I thought it
No. So this goes with this one, and then for the second problem, I wanted you to do that one.
was.
That's all right. Okay. So my question is, how do I find h? Because we now have this right here is what kind of a triangle? It's a right triangle. Okay, the sine of what? Is equal to? Absolutely. I can use my normal trig functions in a right triangle, can't I? So that means 6.8 sine of 57 equals h, which tells me what's my h. Okay, so h is 5.703. Well, guess what? Area now is equal to 1/2 base times height. That's 1/2. My height is 5.703, but what's my base? Yeah, you got to go to the right value. Use the 9.3, not the 6.8, because my height, my altitude got dropped down to this side. So what does that make my area? Right, and it's units squared, whatever my units are. Does that make sense? All right, so we're going to do another one. I'm not giving you the way the triangle is drawn this time, so you've got to be able to interpret the data and draw it into a triangle. But I know that I'm naming it A, B, and C. And I know that B is 47 degrees 20 minutes. C is 12.4 and A is 4.7. Is this side angle side again? Yeah, it is. Okay. So I can use a height 2 ways. One way I don't want to use it. Okay. What are the 2 ways that I can draw that altitude or that height? From which 2 vertices? I can go either from C here, creating a right triangle, or I can go from A to side 4.7. Either way is fine because I'm not dividing this angle, and either case gives me a side that's going to be my hypotenuse. Does that make sense? You following me? All right. So here becomes my height. This is my right triangle. If you need to redraw it, then redraw it. Basically, this is my height, this is my 4.7, and my angle, this is what, C, and this is B, and this is 47 degrees 20 seconds. If you need to redraw it, redraw it. 12.4 is not the base of this triangle because 12.4 is the length AB, and I'm just looking at this portion right here. Do you understand that? So I don't want to look at that value right now. Now, do you know that, let me see if I can find my, hold on a second. Do you know that you've got a way to do 47 degrees and seconds on your calculator? Yeah, so let me show you. I got to think about it because I kind of found it before. I want 47, I think it's under math and under number. Or maybe it's complex. Nope. Okay, I went the wrong way. Let me think about it for a second. Maybe it's not in math. Is it test? Logic? Nope. I found it. No, I don't remember where it is. I thought it was in math. Where would it have been? Nuts. Where else do I have a bunch of stat? Calc? No, we know it's not in there. No, it's not there. Catalog? Oh, that shouldn't be how that's not how I got it before. Catalog? No, really, it gave me my degree and my seconds variable. No, all right, we're just gonna go through all these. Hold on. It's not in calc. It's not mode. No. Don't. No, I was just trying to make it easier for you, but we're wasting more time here. We can. I'll come back to you and tell you how to do it. It just made it a lot easier. I mean, I found it really simply on my calculator at home. Okay, well, we're going to stop messing around with this. All right, exit. Okay, so we're going to have to, I'll come back to you. All right, so we're going to do, I guess we have to convert 20 minutes into a partial degree. So 20 over 60 is 1/3, which is 0.333. So we've got 47.333 degrees. Would you agree? All right. So I'm going to have to figure out the height. So I'm going to say again, the sine of 47.333 degrees is equal to h over 4.7. So 4.7 sine of 47.333 equals h. And I got that to be what? What is it? Okay. No, so tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay. So area is equal to 1/2. What's my base the way I drew this height? What's the base? 12.4, and my height is 3.456. And so my area then is, I get 21.427 units squared. Is that right? Are we good? Okay. Because on my work, I actually drew my height the other way, so I had a different height. But I want to make sure. All right. So then those are your formulas. If angle M is given, then the area is equal to side L sine N, or side N sine of angle M over 2. I mean, you're welcome to memorize this. So LMN. If I give you angle M, then it's going to be the side length of L times the side length of N times the sine of M divided by 2. So you're using your side angle side. Does that make sense? This side times this side times the sine of the middle angle divided by 2. If side N is given, or angle N, then it's going to be side M times side L times the sine of angle N divided by 2. What's my last option? What's going to be given? Which angle has to be given? L. And so then the area is going to equal, if L is given, then what two side lengths do I multiply? M times N times the sine of L all over 2. Making sense? So either use the formula or understand how we're just going to find the area. All right. That only works for side angle side. Now in this case, I'm giving you a different way, different pieces of information. If this is angle A, angle B, and angle C, in this case, I give you 4, 37 degrees, and 69 degrees. So I've just given you angle side angle, and this method's not going to work. Does that make sense? Side angle side. Okay. So you can use the law of sines to find a missing side length, or we can just go through the same process again, finding out your height. Doesn't really matter. You want to just make sure if you're going to find the height that you don't, in this case, divide out your side, that you drop your height from one of the vertices, making sure that you keep an angle fully in there. So for example, I can do this, because this allows me to use side 4 without dividing it in 2 parts, right? And that allows me to use angle 37 degrees as my given angle. And I just ignore the 67 degrees at this point to figure out my height. All right, before I was given 2 sides. And I brought my height down to one of those sides. In this case, I'm going to take my height from one of the given angles, not breaking up the one side that's given. I could have done it from C as well, yes. Okay. No, I don't want to do it from C. Because C divides my side, it will divide my side 4. But I can take it from A. I could have taken it from A or B, yes. It's not necessarily in half. You don't know that it's in half. It looks like it is because of the way I drew it, but you don't know that it's in half, Mario. Better? Okay. So given this, we're going to find the height. We're going to say that the sine of 37 degrees is equal to h over 4. So 4 sine of 37 equals h. What is your h? So h is 2.407. So 1/2 base times height is the area. 1/2. What is my base? Did I do this right? Did I do this right? No. We don't have a base. Can we find a base? How can we find the base? Well, that's only going to give me this portion. No, we don't know that we divided AC into 2 equal parts. You're assuming. Tell me again. Yes, sine of A over side A. But I don't know what side A is, so I can't really use that. Oh, it is. Think. What other piece of information can you already find? You know what C is. What is C? C is 74 degrees, right. So now can we find B, side B? Because we know angle C and we know side C. That's our scale factor, right? And knowing what our scale factor is, we can find any of the other missing lengths. Okay? So let's find side C. We're going to say the sine of 74 over C is equal to, not over C, but over 4, is equal to, what side are we looking for? So we have to say the sine of 67 over, it's 69, thanks, 69 over B. So then B is going to equal the 4 sine of 69 over the sine of 74. So what does that make B? 3 places? Okay, so we'll try 3.885. So, do we have a base now? Because it's 3.885, right? Do we have a height? We found the height to be 2.407. So what does that leave my area to be? What is it equal to? 4.676 units squared. Did y'all get the same answer? Okay. All right, so let's look. You're going to have to sometimes use the law of sines to make sure that you've got all the necessary information, especially given the angle side angle. Okay? We drew our base, or our height, down to a side that didn't really have a length. So using the law of sines, we had to go back and figure out that length because that was our base for our triangle. Okay? We figured out our height by incorporating one of the sides that was given and one of the angles that was given so that we could use the sine to figure out our height. Okay? Let's do another one. All right. Let's set up our triangles. A, B, C. This is 85 degrees, 14 minutes. Little a is 2, and big B is 19 degrees. This is which theorem or postulate? Angle, side, angle. Is it side, angle, side? So we don't want to go back to use that one formula, right? But let me ask you something. Could we go back and use that one area formula if we found one missing piece of information? Could we create side, angle, side so that we could use that formula? Okay, what are you calling the base? Which length? Little b. Well, let's try a different method. Okay, let's find little b. If we find little b, then what's the angle that's in the middle? 85.4 degrees and 14 minutes, right? Then we would have side, angle, side, and we can go back and use that one formula. Y'all following me? All right. So to find side b, we're going to say that the sine of 19 over little b is equal to, what am I going to write? So we don't, but what is A? Well, so let's figure out what this is as a degree. Does that make sense? So 14 over 60 is what? So 85.233. So this is, C is really 85.233. What does that make angle A then? Well, they all have to add up to 180, right? So 180 minus 85.233 minus 19, what does that give you? 75, hold on, 75 point who? Okay. So now we're going to say the sine of 75.767 divided by side A, which is 2. So that means we're going to say cross multiplying 2 sine of 19 divided by the sine of 75.767 gives me side length B. I'm cross multiplying and dividing by the right value so that I can solve for side B. What does that give me? What does that make B? Are we all agreeable? Is that what y'all got? No? That's why I want all of you doing this together so that we're... So 2 sine of 19 divided by the sine of 75.767. Yeah, I got points. Well, I got points. I got 0.672 is what I got. That's all right. Okay. So now we know what B is. How am I going to use then that area formulas up there? I'll say area is equal to what am I got? What lengths do I multiply together? I don't have a height. Go back and look at your formulas. The sides are surrounding your angle measure. So what two sides surround an angle? A and B. That means 2 and 0.672, and then what do I write? No, sine of C. Because you're doing the side angle side, right? Side angle side. So 85.233, and divide that by 2 because it's 1/2. So what does that make your area? Marielle, does that make sense? So go back and look at your formula. Let's go back up to the top. If M is given, then it's the two sides. If angle M is given, it's the two sides surrounding it that you multiply them by, and you take the sine of that angle. But see, look at the sides. We're using these two sides. So that's the angle in the center. Better? All right. So times sine of 85.233. I got 0.669. All right, so we have 2 sets of homework to grade tomorrow.